on now? Alright, let's just do it then. If it cuts out halfway, then it cuts out. One person. Alright, let's get going. Yep, we're good to go.
Are you going to drink on the camera? What? Are you going to drink on camera? I always drink on camera. It's just usually on the cops. We're going to start with maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, this is more people than I expected. I was surprised when I walked in. That's great. So, just imagine some concepts. Oh, can you get going on camera? Angle it on the piece of wood and go just in case this comes out. Then at least I'll put that one.
Is that the movie?
Is that my movie already? Is that the origin or the previous?
No, it's movie button.
Okay, you ready? Now we're good to go? Let's go. Oh, you're not going to see something there? Solidarity.
All right, guys.
Thanks for yelling. Hey everybody. I don't know if anybody can see me on the camera or not, or there might be only one person watching. I gotta go this way more?
Yeah.
No, I can't push the button, I gotta push the button. Okay, so thanks for coming out. This is our second town hall. This one's a little bit smaller than the last one. If you were at that one, you're kind of probably not gonna like this one as much, because that one was really exciting and big. This one's gonna be pretty short and to the point, and then we're gonna get some food for you guys after. So thanks for coming out for this one. This is to go over a couple of changes to the organization, as well as go through like a current state overview of what's going on right now. So what we're going to start with is me talking a little bit about the business, some of the problems that we're experiencing right now, and then we're going to go through each of the portfolios, and the portfolio managers are going to get up here and give you kind of a rundown of what they've been working on and sort of the issues that they're dealing with. Then we're going to talk about some of the changes in the organization that are happening right now, and then how those kind of translate into plans and next steps for moving forward into the rest of this year and over the summer and next year. So some of you have probably seen this diagram before. We've been using it as sort of a demonstration of the trajectory of the SPIC program, more kind of project management work, planning how to build the components of your group, and then working towards putting those components together so that we can get to this final build. But really our long-term goal is to be an education and leadership organization as sort of a flagship for the university to get into the aerospace industry, emulate a lot of the same principles that the other groups like MUR are doing, but do it on a bigger scale and do it better than they're doing it. So sorry for anybody here who's in the car team, but that's what we're doing. And we're going to do that by learning. So everybody here is bringing unique skills to the program, but at the same time you're hopefully looking to pick up new skills. And that's a big part of why we do this as sort of a leadership team, is we want to impart a lot of learning with you, and we want to learn from you as well. And the mechanism that we're using to do that is we're going to build this satellite. So we've been talking about this now for almost 2 years. It seems like I keep talking about it, but we're actually going to make that a reality. Another big component of that is gaining professional experience. So hopefully out of this program you get to network with certain industries that you want to get jobs with. You can maybe build a network that will actually get you a job, and hopefully we can help you do that. And then teaching as well. So Lauren's going to talk about education a little bit more in her portfolio overview, but we're here to kind of teach each other and be kind of a big community of educational participants on behalf of the university. And I think a big thing that's been missing recently over the past, let's say, couple months is the fun aspect. Like, this is not supposed to be a really crappy environment. This is supposed to be a really fun environment, as Gabby said the other day. We don't want people coming in here with resting bitch face, right? And giving everybody a hard time. So we want to be very fun and vibrant and have a good attitude. And this is an open work environment for everybody to come in and ask questions and work on their own stuff, work on space stuff, and have a lot of internal events to generally have a good time. So along with that, you're probably aware that we moved towards a mission vision statement that looked like this, where we want to promote innovation and technological advancements and education to move the aerospace industry forward. So for me looking at it, I think we're definitely looking at technological advancement really heavily right now, especially the telecoms group. And we're definitely looking at education because I know that some of the processes that you guys have been working with PMO, some of the things that marketing has done as an outcome of the Final Frontier Festival have been really tailored towards building out us ourselves and the other people in this industry as a network for learning. And I'm hoping that you guys are seeing that as much as I am with how much we can rely on that network. So for instance, like the amateur radio groups that the telecoms team have been talking to, industry support for flight vehicle, and you're going to have to help me with the other ones.
Command data.
Command data, yeah, okay, you guys had help too. So we're trying to push those relationships forward and really assist in the development by focusing on this as our mission and vision. So the long-term problems though that we've all kind of seen and heard about, and I don't know if it's talked about enough, it's the money concern. So we've been working up to date with very little funding, if any at all. We got a decent chunk of money to do the Final Frontier Festival, and that was really great because what that did is it allowed us to build a presence in this industry. It allowed us to get in front of a lot of the other companies that are doing similar work, and it allowed us to network with them and build relationships, which before we couldn't do. It also gave the university a little bit of a kick in the pants to say, oh yeah, we're doing all this engagement with secondary schools and people who might eventually come to university, so let's keep that going, let's keep that ball rolling. And that sort of instigated them to look into continuing to fund us, but it's not enough. The initial projections for the satellite are quite high, and we need to figure out alternative sources of funding. Another big issue is time. So as most of you are probably aware, we've been doing this work on the work breakdown structure for all the engineering teams, and I think Rob will talk about this a little bit more, but the projections have pushed the development time out to like 2019, which is just not realistic. So we're really concerned about time and how that's going to relate to the overall delivery of the project. And some of that might come from knowledge, which means how to do a WBS correctly, how to do those estimates, how to be pragmatic in estimating, And these are issues that are coming up right now. And then sort of the last two, I guess, would be drive and commitment. So the leadership team is very aware that it's sort of mid-sem time right now. You're in the middle of semester 2, coming out of like a pretty big lull period in July, and it's not going to get any easier. So we really have to look at commitment and drive and figure out, okay, how can the space program be a productive environment for you, not be a burden on your life and take a bunch of time out of your studies, because that's not going to help either of us. That's going to make things worse for all of us. So just to give you a little bit more background on where we're long-term going. So this is sort of the trajectory of the corporation. We're kind of right here, and that's because we're doing our incorporation. We're a not-for-profit now. We're getting charitable status so that we can get a lot of stuff for free, like software for free. But we're not here yet, and this is a big kind of long-term goal. This is the end game. And as you can see, sort of we've changed our name also. We're trying to be a little bit more distinct from the university. That's valuable because it's giving us the opportunity, especially on the legal side, to have conversations with different departments of this government and international governments about launch. So we're trying to think long-term about, okay, once the satellite's developed, what are we going to do to get it launched? Because as we've been talking about for a long time, Australia prevents groups like this from launching amateur satellites or even communicating with those satellites. So we have to work with people in the US, we have to work with people internationally to get the project off the ground. And that's sort of the trajectory, and I'm just drawing your attention to this so that you know that we're not going to stop anywhere in the middle here. We're not going to just quit at firm, we're not going to just quit at corporation, even though some people might like that, some people might not like that. This is the goal, and hopefully we can all kind of voice our opinions about that. This is the same example, but showing where we're failing or where we're having difficulties. So we have an org chart. That was a big part of the last town hall, was talking about the roles and responsibilities. If everybody looks over there, we drew them on the board so that you could physically come in and read them. That's everybody's name on there. Some people have left, some people have joined since that poster was made. But we have an org chart, and we all have a role, and we all have a piece of paper that says what we're doing. We've been working on our processes, so I'll talk about this more for PMO, but we're building out how to do our work, how to manage our workloads. But accountability and commitment are still kind of outstanding. We don't really know how to motivate a group of volunteers yet, and we're hoping that you guys are going to help us figure that out. And then at the same time, as we move into corporation, we're dealing with the government body, which is ASIC, in our incorporation. We're trying to get funding, we're trying to be independent from the university, but at the same time, we're having to deal with unity and repeatability. We want the business to not be a one-off project. We really want to do future satellite projects. And it's not like Rob, myself, and Troy, and Lauren, and Isabel can be here forever. So we're looking for that next sort of generation of people who are going to step up and make this a repeatable process so that future satellite projects can be undertaken. So just keep this in mind as we talk about all these things. It's pretty important to understand the full trajectory. That trajectory breaks down into these types of work streams. So again, I showed this actually a long time ago as well. But we have goals as an organization, and one of them is to build a strategic roadmap that shows a 5-year plan of how we're going to do future satellite development projects. Maybe a lot of you think that the first satellite is kind of all you're going to be doing with the program, and I would hope that you don't think that way, because I'd really like you to be engaged in the program long term. Think about the future development, think about your lasting presence in this program, and apply that to the deliverables. So I know that project management stuff can sometimes seem like overhead burden or like an administrative feature of what we're doing right now, but it's super important, and it's really about putting what we're doing right now on paper and making it last for future iterations of this project. Because if we can do one satellite, that's great, and everybody here will get a round of applause sort of thing, but if you can build a program that can build lots of satellites, you've done something more valuable. You've actually made a lasting impact, not only on this program, but the university in general, and even the aerospace industry in Australia. And then roles. So, like I said, we have people coming and going, and we want to find the right people to do the right jobs. We don't want to just say, here's a project, go and learn this for 6 months, come back and deliver on it, because that's not helping you and it's not helping us. So we want to find the right people who are motivated to do the right roles. So along with that, Rob's going to talk a little bit about the engineering portfolio and how that's sort of working out right now.
Thanks, Chris. So going on from what Chris said about commitment and motivation of our teams, something I've noticed is that tasks are dragging on from week to week, and people are putting in a lot of effort on them, there's no doubt about that, And all the teams have had a lot of excellent progress. Flight Vehicles produced a number of chassis iterations, stacking architectures inside. Command and Data is really nutting out how their whole system's going to work now. Power's got their solar panels working. Telecoms has their software essentially really fleshed out now, and now we've got a great Capstone team working on the hardware. I feel like I've missed a team. Mission Ops and one other as well. Flight Systems, yes. So, big remaining question is Flight Systems, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get down to the timeline. But one thing about building out the program so that we can build more than one satellite is looking at what are the requirements, what are the objectives of this satellite, what are we trying to achieve? Not just to give everyone here the experience in hands-on development of engineering technical projects, but also managing the project, but leave something for future people as well. So part of that is realising that the first satellite may not be able to do everything. So if it can't, for example, if we can't come up with a solution for actuating, or if we can't come up with a solution for the inflatable antenna, we've got to start looking at whether or not these things are included in there. Because the timeline and the funding that we can get from the engineering faculty, grants from the Victorian government, all these things depend on being able to deliver. So, not that it's all doom and gloom at all. All of the work that we've done is all going to come together very soon, and we're going to see, hopefully, a benchtop prototype relatively soon from a lot of the teams. But in trying to shorten that timeline and increasing the motivation commitment levels of everyone, and also talking about how we're going to leave things for the future generation, as Chris pointed out, him, himself, Troy, Isabel, Lauren, myself, we're not going to be around forever. Even the team leads aren't going to be around forever. So looking at getting all the general members owning their work. This is the phrase that everyone should be a project manager. Being aware of why we're doing this, what the importance is, how it can help not just this project, but your future projects when you're out there in the workforce, etc. So, the PMO team will be helping us develop realistic estimates of the work we're doing, so we can try and see if these timelines match with what we actually need to achieve. So, we're really going to try over the next 5 months to a year to get everyone's motivation commitment levels up. So really fulfilling those 10 hours that everyone's promised. So to do that, we've got a couple of strategies which Chris will talk about in a little more detail, but one of them is getting everyone in each team involved in more detail about the project management side, the systems engineering side. So how does each system fit together? What are the interfaces between them? Are they meeting the goals? Are they meaning that some other system isn't going to be able to function as well? Do we have to scale back what they're trying to do as a result of that? All these kinds of things. Not relying so heavily on the team leads to do all that work for the general members, but have them owning that work and being accountable for what they're doing. In addition to that, getting more industry advisors. So Flight Vehicle has found that having someone who knows what they're doing is surprisingly effective at getting things done. And so with Command and Data, we've managed to hook in someone from a medical engineering company who has a lot of experience in redundant systems, and he's helped them a lot just in the last 2 weeks. So looking at getting more industry advisors, more academic advisors involved from the university, the professors as well, and getting them to help us deliver on our satellite. So the next topic is team lead position. So as some of you might be aware, our telecoms team lead Joe and our flight vehicle team lead Anton have had more commitments come up lately. So Anton's taking on his final year project and Joe is working full time now. And so they'd like to hand over the management roles to people within the teams. So not just for you guys, but also for people listening at home, we need the younger generation to step up. So these are the first 2 roles that are coming up, but there'll be more as we go on because we're coming to the end of a cohort graduating essentially. So we need to start bringing everyone up now, and that process will take time. So we want everyone to be ready to take over that before we move on. So that's why we're starting to look at that now. So as Chris mentioned, the engineering school has awarded us a grant to help with the engineering development and the building out the rest of the organisation as well. So particularly on the engineering side, if teams have had concerns that we don't have enough money to get new equipment or to build test rigs or to conduct the experiments we need, some of that worry should be alleviated now because we have the money and we can keep pushing through those tasks so we can keep progressing. So that's essentially the topics. The last thing is the timeline. Chris, if you would. Okay, so the team leads have worked hard on putting this timeline together. Now this is all the tasks for each team, and essentially they're a beginning of the year to end of that system development. So mission ops isn't there because we haven't properly scoped out those hours yet. But obviously flight systems is a bit of a concern because it's running out to 2019. Now, flight systems and power have gone back, and those team leads are pushing back on their group to come up with the hours they think are more accurate. So the team leads have been working hard on this, but now it's the responsibility to push it back onto the general members and have you guys, again, own the work and come up with realistic estimates of how long this is going to take. Because this timeline, we don't know. You guys are the experts on the systems. You've been working on this for 6 months to a year now. You know how this stuff works. You know how long it's going to take to develop it. So once we've got an accurate assessment, we can take this and we can use this to go out to external partners, go to the faculty and say, look, this is how long it's going to take. This is when we're going to have a prototype done, and we can show you something at this date. And they'll say, great, well, we'll give you the money, and then we expect to see it on that date. And because we have realistic estimates, we know we'll be able to deliver, and everyone will be happy. So that's essentially what I have to talk about. So takeaways is we want to push all the general members to be involved in project management, systems engineering and things, and stepping up to take on these leadership roles. So I'll pass on to Isabel, I think is next.
Okay, so the legal stuff can be a little boring, but this is basically how the legal side of things is going to be moving towards this common goal of the Educational Institute. We're currently an incorporated association, which might mean something, but we're currently in the process of transitioning to become a company limited by guarantee, which is a public company listed with ASIC. And from that, then we'll move to becoming a charity and gaining deductible gift recipient status, which will help us with funding and will make a lot of things a lot cheaper for us, which is great. As exciting news, our submission to the Space Activities Act review by the federal government has been accepted, and they've told us that it will be published at some point. We're waiting on that still. I think they're still working through submissions perhaps, but and then we'll see where that leads. We might have affected some change in that regulation, which would be interesting. The changes in legal status I've already discussed. That will involve us having another meeting where we'll need to make quorum and approve some changes to our constitution so that we fit with the requirements of the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission so that we can become a charity. We've had one of our members of the legal team have a paper accepted to the Australian Space Research Conference, it's called, yeah. So that's something to look forward to reading, as I'm sure you're all really keen to do. And then our next steps, we're still working on our lodge certificate, which is a long process, involves our insurance requirements, which can be quite high. I'm sure you've all heard about the $780 million figure. And so our negotiations with a potential launch provider are helping with that. And hopefully we'll see some progress in that area soon. And finally, our communications licensing, which again is another expensive and long process, but we are making progress there. progress there. Yeah. So who am I handing over to?
Me.
Lauren. We'll speak about academics.
Oh, sorry, me. It's me.
That's alright.
I have too many teams, so I forget how many. Okay. Cover a couple different things. Actually, before I say anything about these ones, I'm going to say IT. So we're looking at making a new website. We want to get rid of the old one because it's kind of cumbersome and we don't edit it that often. We need something that's a little bit more dynamic, and we want to move a little bit away from the university branding if we're our own entity. So website's a big thing, and I'll keep you posted on that. It's not something that's going to happen immediately just because of time commitments and stuff like that, but we have the IT team looking into it, and they're gathering requirements from different areas. So for HR and office management, anybody who has keys, if you are on the list to keep keys, you're going to keep your keys. Some people are going to give their keys back, and then we're going to give new keys to other people. So we've been working through that list. I think we have something finalized. The email went off today to set up times, because if you're going to get a key, you have to go down to the facilities person, and they actually sign one out under your student ID. But for the people who are graduating or moving on who have keys, they have to hand theirs in. So that's something to keep in mind, and for those people who are going to be getting keys for this office, you'll probably get an email from me or someone else in the office management team. HR has also been putting together a complete membership list. So as of right now, we have about 123 people actually doing work, like in a job description, in a role on that board. Beyond that, we have 1,400 followers on Facebook. We have attendance in excess of about 500 people per event that show up for us. Final Frontier is something that kind of falls into that, which we haven't really had a full feedback session on Final Frontier yet for all of you that got to attend. But almost every single aspect of that was very positive. We had a lot of industry feedback that things went really well. One of the things that maybe didn't go so well was attendance from the general public. And that's always going to be a concern, I think, with brand new events like that. So for next year, we're really going to push for more people at Final Frontier, which leads me into marketing. So one of the big things with marketing that I think is going to help with motivation is Marcos is going to look at making a blog. And what we want to do is, if anybody here or anybody in the program has anything they'd like to publish, we want you to submit those to MSP. So whether it be a report that you did for one of your classes,